I will call to order the regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Platteville for Tuesday, September 9th, 2014, and we will start with roll call.
Amy Seabold Wilson. Present. Mike Den.
Here.
Barbara Doss. Here. Barbara Stockhausen.
Here.
Dick Bonin.
Here.
Ken Killian.
Here.
Nylene Nichols.
Here. First item on our agenda this evening is consideration of the consent calendar. The following items may be approved on a single motion and vote due to their routine nature of previous discussion. Please indicate to the council president if you would prefer separate discussion and action.
Yes, Council President, I would prefer, I asked to withdraw licenses number 1, Class B beer, and Class C wine for Don Franklin, Platteville, for premises at 125 East Main Street.
So your motion would be to approve the consent calendar with that removed.
That would be correct.
Second.
All right, I'm going to finish reading what the consent calendar includes, just for the benefit of the public. Payment of bills, financial report for August, appointments to boards and commissions. And this evening, there are 4 people, I believe it's 4, I apologize, I don't have that right in front of me. Reappointments to the Community Safe Routes Committee, Cindy Tang, Christina Fields, and Tim Ingram. And Robin Fatzinger is replacing Rand Atkinson as the PCA representative. So again, licenses with number 1 taken out. And permits, a banner for Theater of Ballet Arts of Platteville Mineral Point for 11/7 until 12/8 of 14. Street closing of St. Mary Parish Festival, 1 block north of North Court Street, 1 block of Bonson Street between Cedar and Adams Streets for 9/28/14. So we have a motion to approve the consent calendar with E number 1 removed. And we'll vote.
Seabold Wilson.
Yes.
Den.
Yes.
Doss.
Yes.
Stockhausen.
Yes.
Bonin.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now about the withdrawn item. I would like to make a motion that we waive the restrictions set forth in section 3609, parent 4, parent C, that says premises with unpaid taxes or assessments, and recommend the approval of the Class B beer and Class C wine license application for Don Franklin for the premises at 125 East Main Street for the reasons that Mr. Franklin was neither the property owner now or in the past and has no responsibility for the payment of the property taxes that are unpaid or the unpaid fire inspection fees.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second.
Who is responsible?
The property owner. And Mr.
He
Franklin
leases.
does not own the property,
He's leasing a space within it.
leasing the space, a space within a property.
We'll vote.
Seabold Wilson.
Yes.
Den.
Yes.
Doss.
Yes.
Stockhausen.
Yes.
Bonin.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next is citizen comments, observations, and petitions. We do ask that you fill out the green sheet in the back on that table if you would like to speak. Unless the item is on our agenda, I will ask for you to speak at that time. I have no requests this evening.
Council President,
Yes.
could I make a comment at this? I don't see a report from the Airport Commission tonight, but I would like to announce and invite the council to the ribbon cutting that will be held at the airport on Monday, October 13th at 5 p.m. We will be cutting a ribbon on the work that has been done there in terms of building taxiways and what I call building an airport a hangar subdivision, kind of putting in the infrastructure for additional hangar space. It's at 5 p.m. on Monday, October 13th.
Thank you. Any other announcements from any council members? All right, seeing none, we'll go on to reports. In your packet, committee reports, Police and Fire Commission, meeting minutes. Den?
Since we didn't have meetings over the summer, the minutes are correct and there's no additions.
Okay. Commission on Aging, meeting minutes. Bonin?
As reported in the packet.
Okay. Airport financial report for August is in the packet, as well as the city attorney itemized statement, water sewer financial report for August, and department progress reports. Are there any questions on any of those reports? Seeing none, we'll go on to our first action item, which is ordinance 1415, amending the official traffic map 3-hour downtown parking.
Okay, at a previous common council meeting, a business owner asked that the current 2-hour parking be extended to 3-hour parking, and that was supported by Jack Ludke of the Main Street program. There was a separate ordinance that was to be discussed that has been withdrawn. The issue here is that some businesses require longer service to customer than 2 hours, and these customers either interrupt their service to move their car, they park further away, or they're subject to receiving a citation. And so in the past, the 2-hour parking was a compromise to allow maximum use of prime parking spaces by customers with an appropriate turnover. One concern is that lengthening the time to be allowed to park couldn't cause employees and/or tenants to take up valuable spaces that could be used for customers. But this is a compromise. This is a request. There would be minimal costs, because what we would do is we would just put basically stickers changing the 2 to 3 hours on the signs. The signs themselves would not need to be changed. It's relatively minimal cost. And what we've identified are 40 signs on the streets in the downtown areas that reads, that has the 2-hour parking limit.
And you noted in your comments that this does not extend to any of the parking lots, is that correct?
That's what's in this proposal. If the council determines that they want the parking in the parking lots changed, we can do that at a subsequent time if that's your desire.
Yeah, and I'm not proposing that, Howard, I just wanted to note that for the public so that they don't expect 3-hour parking in the parking lots as well. Is there any discussion?
Yes. I have a problem with it somewhat, because we worked, what is it? So when I come on the council, almost 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we were getting screamed at for not enough parking downtown. And I thought then that this was what we come up with then, or before. And now some of them businesses that's asking for the 3 are the same ones that were on the thing when there was problems with the parking before, and we come up with the 2. So what are we gonna do? Are they gonna change their mind and we change it again, or? It's just I don't understand it.
Due to the different types of businesses that we have downtown, and some of the businesses are such that a person would go to one business, then they would go to a second business, they don't have enough time in a 2-hour time frame, and it sets them up for a lot of parking citations. 3 hours, and I'll give an example. If you're in a salon, beauty salon, you get a procedure, you're not gonna get it done in 2 hours. And then if you wanna stop at the jewelry store and get something, you're already in trouble just because you haven't got enough time at the beauty salon. The 3-hour parking, I don't think is gonna be a problem whatsoever. One of the questions raised were, would it make employees of the businesses have more parking area? And I don't believe that will happen, because I believe that the business owners will police their own employees and say, look, these are for our customers, we don't want you parking here, and I don't believe that's gonna be an issue. I really think it will benefit the business people downtown by having that 3 hours.
I get your point, Mike, but I don't understand why it was okay 3 years ago when we did this, and now we have some of these same businesses that were screaming bloody murder before about all this downtown parking. And now they're in here wanting it changed to more time. So we're gonna be right back to square one in 6 months or a year.
That's a good question. I don't have an answer for that one, but I hope it's not. I hope the business folks take advantage of this and to their benefit.
I'm just raising the question.
Okay.
It's a good point, Dick. I agree that it is difficult to flip-flop on parking like that. And one other thing, I did look at the city parking map, and there are several 24-hour lots on both sides of Main Street. People walk a block behind the building. So there's an option for parking that's longer term, a block away in most areas of downtown. I don't know if that resolves the issue or not, but it definitely helps, I would think.
Any other comments? Otherwise, a motion would be in order.
Well, my comment is we have very diligent community service officers that go around and mark those tires on time. So, and that's causing some citations faster than normal. So we have one part of our city that does really well, and the other part we have to work on, and I think we need those 3 hours. If we're gonna have people downtown, we need those 3 hours. Because people will move if they're finished with their shopping.
Ready for a motion? I'll make a motion for ordinance 1415, amending the official traffic map for downtown Platteville parking area from moving it from 2 hours to 3 hours.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll vote.
Seabold Wilson,
No.
Den,
Yes.
Goss,
No.
Stockhausen,
Yes.
Bonin,
No,
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We are now going on to information and discussion items. The first is contracted 2014-2016 auditing services.
We did receive 3 proposals. I'm still reviewing the two auditing firms that I am not familiar with, so checking the references and a few other questions. So I'll be bringing a recommendation at the next meeting.
Anyone have any questions?
How long have the people that have been doing our auditing been doing it? Quite a lengthy time?
Yes.
So they've been very satisfactory.
I haven't heard any concerns from the council. I'm not sure. I work well with him, it seems like, so I don't have any problems with him.
What
you.
would happen, sorry. Mike, you
No,
have
thank you. I
another
was just
question?
thanking him for the information.
What would happen time-wise if we switched audit companies?
Time-wise,
Yes. If
you're
you
talking
had
about
to-
the time in our offices or what?
Right, to work with a new group.
I presume there'd be additional time because there'd be different items that they'd be requesting. We kind of know what they're requesting every year, so we kind of prepare it ahead of time. They'll be learning basically everything about the city that the other ones did not know previously. So, I mean, they're gonna have a learning curve and we're gonna have a learning curve with them trying to figure out. So there would be additional time on our part and theirs, I would think.
What
So,
But isn't it a good practice sometimes to change auditors because you get different kinds of information?
That may be, I don't know, I know a lot of, if you look at a lot of municipalities, they do keep them for a long time. I mean, if you just go out and look at a number of cities, they do keep their auditors for a long time, so.
Any other questions?
I think maybe on that note, we would probably be maybe looking more towards staff for recommendation if that needed to be done.
Right, and
Because they're the ones, I'm sure most of us probably don't have a clue.
I think that's what Dwayne indicated in his comments, that he's reviewing the bids and will make a recommendation for us at the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I got some concerns, obviously. One of the firms, I don't believe they've done any Wisconsin municipalities. You do have the Public Service Commission for Wisconsin, which is pretty specific compared to other states. So there's things about that I have concerns about auditing firms too. So that's where I'm still reviewing them, and I haven't had a chance since I got the bids yet, but I'll get in a recommendation next time.
Any other comments?
Is
Yes.
this, you do any audit for the housing authority?
Do they do the
You
audit?
do any audit for the housing authority?
That's who do the audit?
Do we contract with that? I
Yes.
think is what you're asking.
Yes, it's part of the housing authority audit, yes. There is a firm that does the housing authority accounting, basically, and they basically said they could not bid on this because of that'd be a conflict of interest on their part. But yes, this is part of the housing authority audit also.
Is that under that optional items
No,
category?
that's part of the, if you look at the individual bids, there, you'll see there's a housing authority listed as one of the items in the main bids for each one of them. There's optionals are being like doing the PSC report, doing the TIF audit, and things like that, so.
Other questions? Hearing none, the next item is a conditional use permit for home occupation at 200 Jewett Street. Joe?
Yeah, this is a request for a home occupation that would involve a massage therapy business at that location. Staff and the planning commission have both recommended approval of that request.
Anyone have any questions or comments?
Just wondering, how many, whoops,
That's okay, you can go first.
how many of them conditional use permits do we have now for massage in town?
I do not know the answer to that question, but we have approved them at different locations over the years.
So we don't have a large abundance of them now.
Well, I can think of 3 different approvals that we've approved for the same individual when they moved. So as far as the total quantity that's there now, I don't think we have a lot.
Just more of an information question than anything.
My question is about the conditional use permit. It expires if the person's business goes away. So it's not a conditional use permit for the premises, it's a conditional use permit for the business. Is that correct?
No, it would stay with the property. If the property were sold and the purchaser chose to do the same thing, they could do that, but they would be subject to the same conditions
Okay,
if there were
but-
conditions imposed on
The
that.
conditional use
It does
would
not
be-
automatically expire.
Okay, but the conditional use would have to be a massage parlor. It couldn't, or massage therapy. It couldn't be,
No, it'd be limited to whatever was approved.
okay, so
And
it'd
any
be limited
conditions
to that
imposed on that
specific bit.
specific would also apply.
Does that expire after a year? Can go from massage to dog.
Sure.
It doesn't expire after a year?
I don't recall offhand.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? The next item is also a conditional use permit for a home occupation at 410 West Madison Street. And Mr. Polar, the owner of the property, and the person asking for the conditional use permit is here if you have questions, but first we'll start with Joe.
Yeah, this is another home occupation. In this case, the business is for the repair and refinishing of furniture and the sale of firewood at that location. And it was recommended approval with conditions related to the location of the firewood and the refinishing furniture where it's located. And basically, the commission recommended that basically the location of the firewood be brought into compliance by June 1st, 2015.
Mr. Polar, you don't have to make a statement, but you certainly may if you wish.
Yeah, my name is Terry Polar, and I live at 410 West Madison Street, and I'm seeking a home business, furniture refinishing, and sell firewood.
You've done this for quite some time, haven't you?
I've refinished furniture for 30 years.
Yeah.
It says something about your neighbors. What was the concern from your neighbors?
That my wood pile was on their property a little bit.
So you're moving your wood as part of
Well,
its conditional use?
Yeah, before June 1st, to get it back on my side.
Is your neighbor willing to accept that?
Well, the neighbor is a museum, it's the Roundtree Stone Cottage.
Oh, I see.
Other questions?
That's that much less grass they gotta cut.
I have a question. The rear yard is the one toward the street there, and so are you going to have the wood pile as far as the house and not beyond? Joe, last night you talked about the front
Yeah,
yard. It had to be in line with the house.
It'll be, one pile from the west will be moved more to the east, that faces Roundtree, and then what you see in the street will be pushed back.
How about in the backyard? Is that going to
Well, that
be,
wasn't,
is that going to be no more than beyond the house? It's at the house it'll stop.
nothing
You
was
have
said
wood
about
pack,
the
you have
backyard.
wood stacked in the backyard as well.
Yeah, I do.
And it's on the property line. Some of it extends over, according to the stake I saw today and we looked at.
That's the pile that I would move back to the east more.
Okay.
Can I address that? Just for clarification, basically there were three issues that were raised related to the location of the firewood. The one was that it currently encroaches onto the property of the stone cottage. The other was relation to that it be limited to the side and rear yard only. In this case, that's two different locations because he's on a corner lot. So I think the main concern was relation to the part that comes closer to Madison Street. That would have to be pulled back essentially to the building line, but there may be also, how you look at it, there's a little bit of an encroachment closer to 7th Avenue
That's what
on
I'm
that
talking
side.
about.
That one, I think, is only fairly minor, but that may have to be pulled back as well. And so the recommendation by the Plan Commission was, to give him till June 1st to achieve that, so as he sells the firewood this winter, it would be pulled back and he just can't extend it any time in the future once he reaches that compliance. So that was the recommendation. And then, as I mentioned, there was also he's got the refinishing furniture that would also have to be maintained inside the garage. Because the other, kind of the general, I guess, concern that one of the neighbors made was about the appearance of the property, so the idea was to make it less visible.
Did you consider at all the height of the wood piles?
No.
I thought about that, and I'm thinking a height maximum of 6 feet, because that's what the height is for a fence, isn't it, correct?
In a residential neighborhood, yes.
A fence can be 6 feet with, next to your neighbor. And we have the piles, one pile is toward the stone cottage, one pile is toward the neighbor at the back.
I don't believe there's an ordinance that limits the height of your wood pile. There is for
No,
a fence,
I'm-
but
I'm
not
not-
a wood pile.
I'm just talking about fences.
Well, yeah, but wood pile's not a fence.
So my question is, how high is the wood pile gonna be?
Yeah, can you build it 20 feet high?
You didn't think about that.
No, that was not an issue that was discussed.
So the wood pile's like a fence to the neighbor in the back.
My recollection of the discussion of the Plan Commission is that there was more of a concern that the wood actually be stored on Mr. Fuller's property. I don't believe the height of the wood pile was a
No.
question. Not to say that the council couldn't discuss it, but that was not a question at the Plan Commission.
I think if we get into a conversation about height of wood piles, we're gonna have half the city talking to us. Cause there's quite a number of other small business owners in town that also split wood and sell it. So I think we're going to have a problem if we exceed the type of wood and the height. Moving it is one question, cause that's the concern.
There are others selling wood too?
Sure, it's a business.
Do they have an occupation permit?
I guess that's up to them to find out.
I agree with you, Barbara. The only thing we're here to discuss is what's here in front of us.
Right.
Well, I
question-
guess I do have some concern about heights of wood piles and stability. I would hate to see, and I'm not speaking about this individual at all, but having had wood piles and burned wood, I know if you get your stack too high, that it falls over, and we don't need to have injuries in town because of people having that kind of thing. So, I mean, we had the same issues many years ago with retaining walls and how high retaining walls could be and whether they had to be engineered and things. And, you know, at first it was like, well, anybody can build a retaining wall just any way they want it. Well, that's not necessarily a good practice, because if we didn't have some kind of regulation or process, I can't imagine, I mean, you know, Walgreens is a huge retaining wall. Not that Walgreens would have built theirs any less than they have now, but I understand Ken's concern.
If I go through all the work of stacking it, I surely don't want it to fall over and
I
have to
understand that.
restack it.
And I'm not talking about you specifically, I'm talking about it in general.
Well, there is a certain amount of concern. I believe one of your stacks is just one row, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's because I wanted to keep it old.
Well, it sounds like if there's a concern on the council's part about the height of wood piles, then that would have to be addressed through some kind of an ordinance, but again, that's not on the,
That's not here.
Well, it could be part of the conditional use.
No.
Doesn't have to be an ordinance, it could be conditional use.
that's true, Ken. Anything else?
Common sense.
All right, thank you. This will be on next time for action. Next is a sign approval for bed and breakfast at 130 North Hickory Street.
Yeah, this is for the existing bed and breakfast. The ordinance allows bed and breakfast establishments to have a sign on their building without any type of approval, as long as it meets the size requirements, but it specifies that any freestanding sign has to be approved by the council after review by the plan commission. So that is what she is requesting, is the installation of a sign in her yard, so it's more visible for passerbys and potential customers.
Did you guys take it up? Any questions, anyone?
Did
How
the
big
plan-
can the
And
sign
the plan
be?
commission considered this, and what,
Yes, they recommended approval last night.
How large can the sign be?
I don't recall what the sign proposed.
4 square feet.
16 square feet, I think.
About 2 by 8, I believe,
8 on
wasn't it
each.
total?
Okay.
2 by 8.
Shall not exceed 4 square feet in area.
That's what the ordinance places a restriction on for the sign on her house without any type of approval. Yeah, she's proposing 8 square feet per side, so I don't know the exact dimensions.
8 square feet.
6 feet tall.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions? Next item, final plat approval for Platteville Industry Park number 7.
Yeah, we've already approved the preliminary plat that would divide the land that the city recently acquired for the next phase of the industry park. It's approximately 40 acres. We'll divide it into the 9 lots. The lots range from 1.7 acres to 7.5 acres. It also extends Vision Drive and also prepares, or at least preserves, some right-of-way through the use of outlots for future extension of Phillips Road and Evergreen Road. And the lot does include some access restrictions for some of those lots to East Side Road. It does comply with the approved preliminary plat, and Plan Commission has recommended approval.
Questions, anyone?
Seeing none, next action item is relative to the motion that was made to table the consideration of the proposals for the Kalmbach property last time. We need a motion to take that off the table.
I make a motion, we take the sale of Kalmbach properties off the table. And can that motion be combined with going into closed session to discuss it?
We
Or do we-
split it up for the purpose of if there was someone who wanted to vote for one but not the other,
Okay.
it would be clear that they could do that.
Okay, then I make a motion to take this off the table.
Second?
A motion and a second, and we'll vote.
Seaboth Wilson,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes?
Stockhausen,
Yes,
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now I make a motion, we go into closed session per Wisconsin State Statute 1985, parent 1, parent E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, and specifically for the review of the proposals for the sale of the Kalmbach properties.
Second?
And reconvene to open
Open
session.
session
For action.
for possible, yeah, for action.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and we'll vote.
Seaboth Wilson,
Yes.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes?
Stockhausen,
yes.
Bonin,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. We'll adjourn to the table. Discuss.